At some point, people don't lose money, they lose clarity. And that's far more important. What's actually happened to people is that they forgot why they are living for. What's the point of this all? You can get caught into achieving something. You can get for you can get caught into something that is not really important for you, or you're not really enjoying doing, and it just stacks up on you. And when it stacks up on you, you start enjoying your life less and less. And then you lose your focus. But the focus doesn't lose itself. There's a certain, you can call it energy or mood, that is actually causing that. You see, when you live in your day-to-day life out of the position that you have to, but you not necessarily enjoy it, then you're losing a grip. You're losing a grip in this life, and if it's lost, then you can lose yourself. That's far more dangerous. Let's talk about the life in the city. I can relate because, you know, I've been living in the different places, and I can tell you that if you do not enjoy what you see around yourself every day, if you don't like doing something that you have to do daily, if you don't like driving through this roads, seeing certain scenery, if you don't like how maybe your city feels, or your area that you live feels, and you're letting it slide, that stress is going to build up more and more and more. It's going to grow on you, and then you're being not productive, you're being depressed, you're being whatever, you're just not as productive as you should. And that's the main point, because I understand that, yeah, I can bear with some, let's say I can bear with something for some time, but if it becomes a habit, then you have a problem. Because, for example, I was trying to live in the Miami, and doesn't matter how nice you live and how good the area is, if it's not yours, you're not going to be satisfied there. Me, I am satisfied here. This is Hawaii. I'm satisfied here because I have that touch of nature here. You know, I can come out of my house, walk for a couple minutes, and be at the beach. I can hop in the car, drive for 20 minutes, and be in the rainforest at the waterfalls. And it's just something that I crave. I need that. I'm not going to the clubs. I'm not enjoying myself in the restaurants. I mean, you're getting used to it, and it becomes boring. So when I am in the city, it doesn't work for me at all. I have to be outside, and I have to be somewhere where it's warm. Miami literally was too cold. So instead of agreeing and saying, you know what, I already made a decision, I moved here, maybe, let me wait for another, I don't know, couple months, maybe a year or two before I can move, I decided to go and scout. And if I wouldn't do it, I would not know that here is much better and I like it more. And before that, I was in Jamaica. I was living there for a good amount of time. And I can tell you that when you are at the right place, your internal dialogue is quiet. You just feel at peace. And when you feel at peace, that's when you can focus on what's important for true, what's really important. Because I can tell you an example of that noise. It can be environmental, right? So, for example, in Jamaica, everybody knows it's not safe. So when you're there, you kind of think about possible situation that might happen, and you have to be on check. You have to be always ready. And that thing alone occupies your mind. And instead of thinking about building something great, advancing in business, creating the life you want, I personally find myself thinking about stuff I'm not even enjoying thinking. Why do I have to think about some type of blockbuster movie in my head uh, just because it's not safe? So that meant that it has to change. And if I cannot turn off my internal dialogue, my thoughts, because these thoughts are actually like dictated by the environment, right? It would be just a fool of me to ignore the situation and say, you know what? Let me just ignore that and don't think about it. It doesn't exist. That's foolish. So instead of that, I changed the environment. And when I changed the environment for the Miami, for example, that noise changed, but it changed from internal noise or the outer noise or the noise of the city. And after spending a couple months there with this noise, you kind of you're getting tired. And when you're tired, you're not productive. And it's all about being productive. It's all about achieving something. And when you don't have energy, doesn't matter what type of yoga you do, doesn't matter what type of, you know, additives you take. If your body does not produce chemicals in the order that it's supposed to for you to be productive and feel amazing, then external things are the least effective thing. Because the most effective thing would be just to change your environment. But to change your environment, it's a decision. And usually it's not only, money-wise, but also energy-wise consuming. So you always have to think about energy. Energy is something that drives us, and it's also something that kills us. Because if we have no energy, we cannot do nothing. And finding that place or, area or country or whatever, that place where you feel at peace matters the most. Because until you are at peace, you are distracted. And if you are distracted, you are not living your life. You're living someone else's life. Because you start making the decisions out of your tension. You're not making the decisions out of strength, out of something that has to be, really good for you. You start thinking about other people. You start thinking how your decision gonna affect the other people, your family, your, relatives, your friends, blah, blah, blah. And actually, this is one of the biggest traps that people get caught and then just ending up living someone else's life. Because, for example, if whatever is for you, if whatever you feel is there for you, Whether it's a location, a place, a car, whatever it is, something that you want and you feel that you need it. If you're not going to go and get it for yourself, first of all, you're going to be very sad lately because you're definitely going to remember. You're gonna regret because, as they say, we regret not about the things we did, but rather about the things we didn't. So first of all, you're going to be regretting. Second of all, you might think about other people and thinking, oh, I'm not going to do whatever I want or buy whatever I want or do whatever I want, whatever I feel is right for me because of my wife, because of my children, because of my friend, because of my son. And that's a mistake because that's you know, the decision out of tension. And one or two decisions out of tension are not going to kill you most of the times. But when you build your life made out of those decisions, then it's a hell. And you don't want to live that life. Nobody does. But a lot of people ends up doing exactly that. And what I'm saying is, even if the financial part is very important and it's crucial, you have to set up your life in the way that it doesn't take out from your life pool. Because if you just work and you always tensed, I guaranteed you're going to have problems with your health, with your relationships, with everything. You're just going to have the issues because that tension inside and it just never go. The older you grow, the more of that tensions you start to carry. And at certain point it becomes impossible to, you know, I'd call it ejaculate. Yeah, ejaculate all that stress. Because there are ways to, get rid out of that stress. Let it out. There are some ways that are practical and safe. There are other ways that are not practical and safe, harmful ways. But there are ways, right? So as long as you not making any decisions out of tension, you're good, right? Because then the whole point of life becomes different. You see, it's like two different realities, and they exist right here on this earth. And the people in the same cities, same streets, same buildings might live in the very different realities, even though the income and the situation are very alike. And it's all about tension and all about how you structure your life, you know? So in my opinion, and in the opinion of a lot of other, you know, people who choose life and choose success, it's very important to live your life in the way that you enjoy it every day. Because let's think about that. Your routine, right? What is actually like important? What is actually like real? What's real? It's what you see and do every day. Every day, right? Whether, you're waking up and the first thing you see around yourself is something that you enjoy, right? And you feel already good. You feel great about the day. You know that You know what's coming. You're excited. You honestly cannot wait to wake up. You're going to the bed with the thoughts of waking up very, very soon. That's that is very healthy. That's how a healthy human being, I mean the human being that is here for the long run and the successful one should feel day to day. And I'm going to expand on this successful and the longevity term a little more later, but I really here want to share one general thought with you. And this general thought is you have to enjoy what you do daily. It has to be enjoyable. You can just analyze and see if you're waking up to the completely different story. Your picture is different. You hate to wake up. You have to force yourself out of the bed. You have to force yourself doing certain stuff. You every time it's evening, you don't want this evening to end because tomorrow you have to go and do whatever you don't like to. That's not a smart approach. Even if it makes sense, even if it seems like, well, but I'm making money, I'm doing it for my family, blah blah and blah blah. I'm guaranteeing you that family and everybody who's you really doing it for is going to be much more happy. Plus, you are going to do much more. You are going to earn much more money if you are going to do some changes to your life, for example. Because I guarantee you, even if you are right now in a good area of life and everything is kind of all right, but you kind of have to force yourself every day to go, trust me, when you're going to make that step to change everything, even if it's going to be a little bit of chaos and it's going to be a little scary maybe, I guarantee you you are going to end up much better than you used to. Plus you're going to be happy, plus you're going to be making more money, plus everybody around yourself going to be happy, plus all the fake people and fake friends going to fall off, um, because that's how it works. It's actually very one of the easiest ways. Well, probably not the easiest because it's like it takes some courage and spirit, I think, but it's one of the realest ways to test your friendships or your relationships or whatever. Just change your life, move somewhere, do something, change whatever you want to change, and then see who's going to stay with you and who's going to fall off. And I guarantee you, those people who's going to fall off, you are going to do much better than with them. And it happens throughout your life. Like as far as I'm noticing, it's like certain steps in this game we call life, and there is certain different locations. And if some people can live in the one area they call life, I cannot. I don't think it's healthy. I don't think that's what human being was made to do. And I think we are naturally aspirated to travel, or at least, you know, get to the life we want. Because trust, if you live in the cold Siberia and you hate cold and you want to live somewhere where it's warm all the time, I guarantee you, unless you change it, you're not going to find peace and you're not going to feel good. And no matter what you do, uh, nothing really matters because the environment that you are doesn't fit you. That's what I mean. Environment is super important, and you You have to make that environment perfect. Because there is a very interesting thought, and I always use it whenever people are complaining, and it goes like this. The life is perfect. Life is perfect. And it's your problem that there is something that you don't like because you can change it. If it's the weather that you don't like it, you can change it. If it's the way you look, you don't like it, you can change it most of the times. If there's a way you, I don't know, don't like how you behave or feel or do something, you can change it. And that's the whole beauty of this life. Like it's custom. It's all about options. It's all about how you perceive those options and how much you have to like how much do you really have to work to get to those options, you know? Because some people they don't need much, you know? They're good with small things and they live a small life and nothing is bad about it. Just some people are like that. But I'm talking about people who want things, who want big things, who wants to achieve something. It's important for them. It doesn't really matter where do you live if you don't want nothing. If all you want is just, you know, hang out in the bar with friends at Friday, and that's the happiest thing that you know about this life, you'll be happy anywhere. I mean, certain people like I can be, can envy guys like that because, you're pretty simple. You don't need much to be happy, and you're just happy. And I think it's the choice. It's the choice of how far you want to see because the further you see, the more depressing the reality becomes if your reality is screwed, okay? But then if you fix your reality and you still, able to be very realistic, then it's actually very beautiful. So of course it's easier to be delusional and just not to see far at all and just be here, be in the moment, they say. Live in the moment. Be happy. What's the happiness? I mean, is it always like running around and smiling and laughing? Not exactly, bro. Sometimes I think, you know, what happiness really is. And for me, like I can look very grumpy and be so happy. Like I can look like I'm about to kill you and be happy, you know? I just have that certain look. I'm not like walking around and smiling. I'm focused most of the times I'm thinking, and when I'm thinking makes me happy because I don't have to get to certain boosters, to certain things to make me happy, I can be just happy enjoying my scenery. I can be just happy looking out of my window. I can be just happy smelling the air. I can just be happy feeling the rain on my skin or the warmth or how the waterfalls smelling, how the rainforest smell, how I can be happy because I don't have internal noise. If I, for example, and it's not only with me, you can just draw the parallel line with yourself and see if you are on vacation, doesn't matter. It's the best vacation ever. You are somewhere, the place is gorgeous, right? You are there. And but at home there is some problems. I don't know, it's either your wife or uh work I don't know, something about money, something important, and that issue is unresolved, you are going to just think about that and not enjoying your, vacations, right? So you are physically in a beautiful place, but mentally you're there. You are at the place with problems. That's what I call the internal noise. And when you're always in position of the tension, like you in that position, you're always in a hurry. You're always short of some. You're short of time. You're short of life. You don't have time for this. You don't have time for that. How you supposed to live your life if you always late for yourself? You don't have time for yourself. The funny thing is, the more successful you are, the less actually busy you are. Because success is not just money. It's about how you spend your time and how you live your day-to-day life. Okay? So if you hate yourself, for example, but you're making money and you don't even have, you know, an ability to spend those money, and you have to like hate yourself for doing so, and then go like that for 40 years, and then when you retire, you can enjoy yourself. Well, most likely you're not going to make it until your retirement. Your body is going to kill itself with disease. Okay? And nothing is going to help you because you just not enjoy living. That's very important idea, that if you understand and start enjoying life while being productive, while doing everything, while, looking at the life like the long run, life is beautiful. And the more you solve these problems, the more interesting and kind of fun it becomes, you know? Because now you have a skill set, now you've done it already before, and it's just, life. And when you don't have that internal noise within you, you can make important decisions that are actually going to benefit your life. Because, as I said before, right, longevity, it's all about long run. It's all about how you perceive and where you're going. And what I find very, very interesting, but most of the people, they cannot really see long term. They cannot see 10, 20 years from now. They cannot see 30, 40, 50 years from now. They just cannot. They can see a year from now at best, and that's kind of like the longest. So the more time you able to see upfront, the most likely better life you're going to build. When you think in short terms, you're getting into the problems with long terms. But when you're thinking with long terms, you don't really get into the problems with short term, because whatever the short term is a problem, it can be fixed, and it's not really a problem because you're on the long run. So it's just like a different frame and different mindset that allows you to just see the life completely different and eliminate most of the noise. You don't stress about things like at all. And I think that's the best power. It's like the superpower. If the man can have any superpower, the emotional intelligence would be probably the most important one. Because when you can handle the pressure and most interesting, not just handle the pressure, but actually enjoy the pressure, that's when it becomes fun. Because now suddenly something that most of the people is trying to avoid, you actually have fun doing that. For me, for example, it's business, it's money making. I just like that because it allows me to, open my primal part of a hunter, primal part of that somebody that is, getting to the target and acquiring the fucking target, you know? And we're wired to do that in our system as a human beings. So yeah, I just love to do that. I love to hike. I love to hunt. I love to be in nature doing something, you know? And if I'm not doing something in nature, I'm feeling tense. I'm starting to thinking if I live in the city, you have to get out of the city to get to the nature, and it's the whole journey, and it gets you tired as well, and then you're tired from, vacation and blah blah blah. You should not really be tired. I mean, what's really being tired is because I think being tired is actually good. It actually feels great when you're being tired in the right way. When you, for example, being productive and you did everything today, you exercised, you hit all your goals, you did all the meetings, you spoke with the clients, blah blah blah. Even if you didn't succeed at something, you're still going to feel amazing because you did what you planned to do. You've been productive. Even on the worst day when you don't want to do nothing and you feel lazy and you're still gonna go exercise, it's just going to make you feel amazing because, oh, now, you know, now I'm not so useless. I did something. At least I exercise. I feel good already. So your body rewarding you naturally. It's all about the rewarding and punishments too. So you can live the life where you're being rewarded by yourself, by your inner biology, by your inner body, by the life around you. Or you can live the life where the life of the ignorance, the life where you are ignorant towards what you feel and you just try to ignore it and, toughen up and hustle with your muscle through something that you don't like. I mean, you can go like that, but there is a certain cup when you kind of feel that that's it. I hit the ceiling. It feels like life kind of stopped. It's like, okay, like you've been through all the company missions, like you've been through all story modes on this location. That is it. There is nothing else to do. And you can still fool yourself and, surrender to the comfort if you earned it, and just live like that. But I don't think I know it. The second you do that, it feels like micro death. And if you do it, you just lose momentum. And when you lose momentum, then you have to keep on doing a lot of stuff to gain your momentum back. And I mean, it's all right if you're young and you lost momentum. I mean, you can get back, you can gain momentum and gain even more momentum. But when you're like 60 and or about that age and you lose your momentum and you've been living your life out of the, you know, tension your whole life, there is not a lot of strength left in that body. So it's easier to give up, you know, and expire and retire and do whatever. I think we just have to live in the way that we enjoy our life. That's the most important thing. When you enjoy your life and you understand yourself, you understand what you truly need, not what they told you from the TV or from whatever, you know, idea got into your head. But truly, like you need to test things. You need to test what really did work for me. Where was I the happiest? Where were where did I feel best? Where did I feel that I can do things, you know? Some people, for example, right? They get too much noise. I know people like that. They get too much noise. They living in that noise. They bear with that. They grind with their muscles. They hustling, and they achieve something. They become somebody either in a. It might be somebody in the politician, somebody in the government, somebody in the banking, somebody in finances, entrepreneurship, blah blah blah, whatever. They've been doing something they never liked from the start, right? For their whole life, and now they're about 50 years old, and now the reality check is kind of coming up to these people, and we see a lot of people just give up. They say, you know what, I've been into the banking, I've been the politician, I don't want it anymore. I want to go to Thailand, I want to go somewhere, quiet in Alaska or somewhere, whichever place they like, and live very quietly there. I mean, it can work for a certain time, but then you get tired again, you know? Those people give up sometimes, or sometimes they change their life for the best, and you never know unless you know, and you do. For some people, giving up the banking, giving up the things that they've been working whole life and think that it was important. For some of them, it was the best thing they did. However, I don't think those things. Um, I don't think those things are so important that you have to ruin your life for them for the sake of having them. And then when you realize that you kind of did, give up everything and, truly exploring who you really are. I think those things coming as a byproduct of exploring of who you are and doing what you love, and then all that thing comes together, right? It's not about, I have to work nonstop to get this car. And then you get this car and then you feel empty. It's not about that. It's about what you can do in this car. What if you just bought this car and you don't even have time, to really ride this car? You never really needed to buy this car. You could have just rent that car. If you only have one day in the week when you can enjoy, your Lambo that you bought, and you like had to work for 30 years. I don't know, man. It don't work to me. Doesn't work to me that much. I mean, I know that it makes you feel good, like, yo, you finally made it, but it wears out, you know? Like, you can be a king of the hill, you can play the game of being the best, but there is always guy with a bigger yacht. Always guy with a bigger yacht. Like recently, it was the Art Basel, right, in the Miami, and right at our balcony, where I have balcony, there's a like port, the marina, and two billionaires pulled up. One of them owner of the WhatsApp and another owner of the Google. And the WhatsApp owner yacht is slightly smaller than the Google owner's yacht. And they stay together, and it makes it look so small, even though it's like 100-meter yacht, like 250 feet yacht, the WhatsApp guy has. But the owner of Google has 455-foot yacht. So it's like 150 meters. So it's all about what you're doing and how it serves people, you know? I bet those people they just enjoyed doing what they were doing. They're good at it. They're good at coding, they're good at whatever, they don't think the way most people think. And that's important. When you have a different angle on things, when you have a different, an ability to see differently, that's a big, 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 big advantage. And me, for example, I've always been like that. And at first I thought it was a curse because um, when you're smaller, when you're a child especially, and you try to, change, and you try to share your views with grown-ups, and those grown-ups are, you know, people that live in tension and live with the internal noise inside. It, it's very hard to make sense of what grown people do. But then you grow up and you realize how it all works, and you know, you should use it in your advantage. And it's not bad and it's not good. It's just the way it is. It works. Yeah, it works and it works well. So I think if you have tensions right now, you should really think about how to step out of that tension. Because the way you operate, the way you handle things, the way you act, the way you think, when you don't have the tension at all, I mean, internal, like it's nothing that annoys you, then it's like, it's the environment when you can bloom as the human being. Let me just draw a parallel, like, throw you uh, an idea. Look at each individual human being as a seed or as a plant, whatever. If the environment is not right for a particular seed, it's either not growing up at all, meaning it dies, or it's growing up weak. And that's what's happening with the most of the people. They born somewhere, the environment doesn't really fit them, they helpless, they not changing it or realize it too late. And by that time, there is not a lot of strength left. And I think it's worth any money. It's worth time. It's worth everything. Is to take your time, analyze, and try those things that you think you like or you want in your life. And then construct your life around those things. That's how you eliminate internal noise. That's how you feel yourself strong, productive, um, and that's how you bloom. That's how you bloom. You're in the right area, you can bloom. You don't have nothing else that stops you, and then you can bloom. And when you can bloom for real, you can make money. Yeah, you can make money. You can never make money out of tension. You can just um, rent your body to someone for barely enough money to survive when you tense. And when you're not tense, when you are the opposite of tense, you are the one who creates. You are the creator. Because let's dig a little bit deeper. I don't know if you're going to understand that, but let's dig a little bit deeper. If to summarize everything I'm saying, there is basically two different states you can be. You can either be tensed or you can be like relaxed. Let's call it fear and love, because there is basically only two emotions that a human being feels: love and hate, or fear. Everything else is like the shades of those emotions. So whenever we fear, hate or fear, we feel tension. We, we get tense inside, right? We call it a bad emotion. But the opposite is the emotion of love. And when you feel love, you open up. You feel wide. You feel like you feel broad. And we call those feelings good feelings. So if your environment makes you tense, nothing good's gonna come out of it. You're going to those tension is going to, gets to the all points of your life, because the energy doesn't go anywhere, right? It just changes the form. It doesn't, disappear, right? So that tension that you feel is going to be there, and it's going to affect your life around people around you, and it's not going to be good. But when you live on the different frequency, that's another very popular word that people use, frequency. If you live on the other frequency, on the frequency of love, you find yourself able to create. This is you can call it the state of creator. You will become the creator, right? Because the whole idea, I'm not going to, dig down about religion, but I'm going to tell you that this whole idea is about creating, right? Like creator created this creation, and we procreating, and everybody creating, and be like a creator creates something good too. But when you tense, you cannot create nothing. You only can be, sit down and be afraid. When internal noise is gone, life doesn't need meaning. It becomes precise.